Justin Simmons doesn't make sense for the Houston Texans. Not right now. Doesn't mean he won't ever make sense, but he doesn't make sense right now. 4 reasons why Simmons doesn't make sense for the Texans coming your way. Justin Simmons, free agent safety, formerly of the Broncos. He was released on March 7th from the Broncos, and since then, no visits, no workouts, no nothing except for rumors and fans desiring Simmons ending up on their team. Look, Simmons is fantastic. I've called him on this very channel a game changer. He's a 4-time second-team All-Pro, 2-time Pro Bowler. He was the interceptions leader a couple of seasons ago here in the NFL. But where the Texans are right now, all the rumor and innuendo swirling around, it doesn't make sense. Let's start with number one, the reason why right now it doesn't make any sense. The rumors about Justin Simmons and the Texans, Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports, putting that out there, it doesn't make any sense because when have you ever known the Texans to let the rumor mill get the best of them? Nick Caserio does not talk to anybody. You find out from the NFL newsbreakers and the experts when the Texans do something, but there's not a lot of talking out of NRG Stadium about what they plan to do. Certainly not when it comes to adding a player like Justin Simmons. So the rumors coming out that the Texans might be interested, they might be looking at him. Look, you can put the 2 and 2 and the 4 and the 6 together and get whatever you need to get from it. But if that's coming out from a reporter, it's not coming from the Houston Texans. That's not how Nick Caserio has ever operated. It's not how he's operated since DeMeco Ryans joined up with this franchise either. The rumors don't make any sense. That's why it doesn't make sense right now. The other part of Justin Simmons and the Texans and the potential for Justin Simmons, if the team wanted Justin Simmons, now I used a very particular word there. If the team wanted Justin Simmons, they'd have Justin Simmons. They'd pay him what they need to pay him to acquire his services. He'd be in the starting safety mix for this team, and the Texans would have a former All-Pro back there in their safety spot. But they had the entirety of free agent, the entirety of the summer, and now a few days here in the training camp why they would, or to sign Justin Simmons, and they haven't done that. They haven't wanted Justin Simmons to this point. Seemingly neither has the rest of the National Football League either. They haven't wanted Justin Simmons to this point either. He's still a free agent. Now, the need conversation becomes very interesting and intriguing because wanted and needed Justin Simmons is very different. I don't believe they need Justin Simmons. Can they make it work with this safety group? Yes. Would it be better with Justin Simmons? Sure, I do believe it could be better with Justin Simmons. But the need factor, if it arises, an injury to Jimmy Ward in the preseason, Jalen Petrie not really figuring it out with his moving around here, trying out new positions. Maybe one of the depth players like MJ Stewart, Eric Murray isn't ready to go or doesn't look good throughout the course of training camp, then that need kind of raises. But the want feels like it's down here when it comes to Justin Simmons and the Houston Texans. So do they need Justin Simmons? Some of you may even say yes. I don't say that they need him. Do they want Justin Simmons? They haven't shown that they want Justin Simmons just yet. Fantasy football players, listen up. This is the best way to do your in-person draft. These are the best draft boards in the world to my friends at draftkits.co. Draftkits.co is the way to go to get your beautiful custom-made, reusable draft board. How about year after year after year using the same draft board that you've customized, maybe with your league's logo, your name, your slogan. You see all the champions there from the past, and you're trying to win the championship of the future. DraftKits.co puts a champion in every box. Their stickers are reusable. They can be peeled on and off. So your drunk friend puts it in the wrong place, it's easy to fix it and put it in the right place at the draft. These draft boards are gorgeous. They get shipped to you in time for your draft, as long as you plan ahead, so you have the best draft experience in the world. My friends at draftkits.co. CODY24 is going to get you 10% off your entire order. CODY24 is going to get you 10% off your entire order. Check them out, draftkits.co. All the info you need in the description down below. And then as far as Simmons goes, I mentioned it. No real visits to report, no workouts of anything like that. Justin Simmons may not want to go through training camp. Nick Caserio addressed that very thing in his pre-training camp press conference. And hey, some players don't want to go through training camp. Now, it didn't seem like it was a big issue for Caserio if a player didn't want to go through training camp. So that's something to keep in your hip pocket if you are hoping that Simmons down the road ends up as an option for the Texans. But Simmons, this is still summer for a lot of the NFL. I know some teams have reported and they've started some very light and stuff workout. The Texans are into it because they play in the Hall of Fame game. They've got a longer training camp than anybody. So the timing for Justin Simmons doesn't make real sense, because if he doesn't want to participate in much of training camp, not saying he don't want to participate in any training camp, but if he don't want to participate in much of training camp, why would he go to a training camp that by the time he arrives would be in the swing of things? He would want to get to a training camp when things are kind of peppering down. We're probably a month away, I would think, before Justin Simmons signs, if he doesn't want to do anything in training camp. If he wants to pull the Jadeveon Clowney approach where, training camp not really for me, I'll pick it up, I'll get up to speed, and you can trust me, I'm a veteran. Now, Simmons much better at safety than Clowney is at defensive line. But if you don't want to do training camp, the timing doesn't make any sense either. And the final reason why right now it doesn't make sense for the Houston Texans and Justin Simmons is it's a bad message for the team if you bring in Justin Simmons. Because it's one thing to bring in someone to compete at a position. The Texans did that with Quintez Cephas at wide receiver, but he's not replacing anybody. He's brought in for competition. The Texans preach competition. D'Amico Ryans loves to talk about competition. Nick Caserio as well. Quintez Cephas shows up, and he's competition for that bottom part of the wide receiver room. That's very different than what Simmons would be. Simmons is a starter. Simmons supplants somebody right away. Simmons is in the starting lineup. And imagine after 3 days of your job, your boss came in and said, hey, by the way, we're demoting you. This other guy's taking your job. Like, well, I didn't even have time to figure out if I was going to be any good at my job. It was 3 days. It's not timing-wise right to send that message. Now, you get into the middle of training camp. The Rams are coming to town for joint practices. It's that portion of training camp, and you're Nick Caserio and you're D'Amico Ryans, and you look around at each other and you say, yeah, our safety things, it's just not getting it done. You know, Kalen Bullock's maybe not quite there. Jimmy Ward's hobbled. Petrie's not figured out his new position. Let's go get Justin Simmons. That would make sense. That's easy for the team to look around, but there's so many players on this team that you would look around and be like, oh, they're just going to replace me if I don't do good every single day. That's not the culture that the Texans have created. Look, if you're not good at your job, they'll get rid of you. If you're not the best, somebody will outcompete you for your spot. But the Houston Texans just out and out supplanting and replacing a guy a couple of days into workouts where he hasn't even had a chance to really kind of get his footing. That's what would be happening if they signed Justin Simmons. So again, I want to wrap this up by saying Simmons, I'd be all for it. He's a fantastic player, but it doesn't make sense right now with all these rumors swirling around. They're not coming from the Houston Texans. It doesn't make sense timeline-wise for Justin Simmons. The Texans haven't shown any desire that they want Justin Simmons just yet, and it's a bad message right now for the team. The message later on, if guys aren't getting it done, hey, we're going to make sure we do everything to give us the chance to win and succeed. That's an easier message to send to the team than just out and out replacing a guy after 3 days of work. That's what would be happening if Justin Simmons showed up this week for the Texans. 3-4 days of work, and all of a sudden you lose your job. You haven't even a chance to read the manual, okay? D'Amico Ryans said they're starting over in training camp, starting from the ground up, reteaching it, reworking a lot of stuff. And look, it's not like Jimmy Ward has looked bad. Petrie's had some issues covering guys in his, nickel reps that he's had out there, but Eric Murray's looked fine. MJ Stewart's running around. Kalen Bullock's been, blitzing to high heavens in some of the looks. So it's not there yet for Justin Simmons. Don't rule it out. Don't say, hey, it's never going to happen. There's not enough evidence to say that right now. But right now, for Justin Simmons, it doesn't make sense for him to be on the Houston Texans. What say you? I feel like a lot of people might disagree with me. Well, let me know in the comment section down below why you disagree with me. Love to hear from you. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait until we talk Texans again soon.